if you are a first-time home buyer in Weatherford, Texas, and the surrounding area, I have some really good news for you. You are actually in a really good spot to purchase right now. So I know y'all are all hearing about high interest rates and how now is not a good time to buy. But what I can tell you from somebody who has been in this business 15 years, I've helped hundreds of first-time home buyers. This is one of the best times I've seen. Everyone keeps saying don't buy right now because of interest rates. And I am not going to lie to you. Interest rates are high. On top of that, home prices are high. Like, I'm so sick of all these people saying, oh, well, at least it's not 12 or 17% like it was in the 80s. Well, yeah, that's crazy. But also the houses were 70,000 then, not 300,000. So it makes a huge difference. I get it. I understand where you're coming from. What I can tell you is those high interest rates have curbed demand, which has actually put you in a lot better situation. So back when the interest rates were 3%, that was the craziest time I have ever seen. Buyers were paying for Disney vacations for the seller's whole entire family, paying for Porsches. These are actual stories I heard from like title companies telling me what these other buyers were doing. If the buyer didn't have $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 to pay over appraised value, they weren't getting the house. I had buyers lose out going $100,000 over list price on a $500,000 house. That is insane. So I don't ever want to get back to that. And honestly, I don't think we're ever going to see 3% interest rates again. I think that was just kind of a once in a lifetime thing. And it made the market really insane. And so what I do hope is that the interest rates are going to get down more like 4.5%, 5%, 5.5%. I think that would be a good, strong, healthy market. However, we don't know when that's going to be. So here's what my take is. So you right now in this market with interest rates being high, buyers are sitting on the fence. Or they're sitting on the sidelines. They're either priced out of the market or they're hearing what everyone else is saying, which is to wait, and they're waiting. Because of that, you are in a really good spot for negotiation. So right now in Parker County, we have about 6 months of inventory, which is a buyer's market. The pricing still hasn't like landslided down or anything like that. But what has changed is the negotiation power you have. So a lot of sellers are paying for your closing costs. They are throwing in like additional things like the fridge, things like that. Excuse me. Days on market are longer, so they're a little bit more willing to come down on price. It's not crazy anymore where you're having to give the seller like a 2-month free lease back where you're paying for the house and they're staying in the house for 2 months. Crazy. But that happened when the market was nuts. And so it just has a lot more advantages, especially if cash out of pocket is a concern for you. So the other great thing to help with that is the down payment assistance programs. So during all the craziness, those kind of went away. Like they ran out of funds. There weren't really funds available. They're back in full force now. There's a lot of really great down payment assistance programs that actually cover your whole down payment for you. And up till this year, they had a higher interest rate and you couldn't buy down the rate. You couldn't do anything with the rate. This year, like recently, T-Shack actually is now allowing for a rate buy down. So you can get your down payment covered, then negotiate the seller to pay for a rate buy down and get a lower interest rate with down payment assistance, potentially get your closing costs covered. So you can get into a house potentially the same amount as renting a house, which is crazy. You also have builder incentives finally back. So, and these are the best builder incentives I have seen in my career. And so during the craziness, all the builders laughed at you. Like if you called and asked like, do you have any inventory? They would laugh and say, oh, I have 350 people on a wait list. They didn't need your business. they do again. So what they're doing is they're doing special interest rates where I've had buyers get 3.99, 4.99% interest rate. So really normal or lower interest rate, the pricing is better because the demand is down. The builders are covering closing costs. They're covering your agent to be paid. They are covering for you to have a fridge and washer and dryer and blinds and all the things. New construction is a really great option right now, and it's one that I would highly recommend that you pay attention to. And so, sorry, looking at my notes, I have lots of things I want to share with y'all. So, that being said, like, yes, interest rates are higher, but we can actually potentially get lower interest rates and lock in the pricing that is happening right now. So if interest rates drop, which they may or may not, we don't know. They said they were going to raise for 3 years before they actually did. So even if they say like they're going to drop, I'll believe it when I see it, always with interest rates. So when they drop, if they drop, demand's going to shoot through the roof. Home pricing is going to increase. And so your savings on the interest rate are just going to get eaten up with the price of the home. And you could potentially even be paying a higher monthly payment because the home price is more. Versus if we lock in now today at this like price that it's at, and if rates drop, you can refinance into that lower rate and actually get a lower monthly payment. And so if you can stomach the rate, if you can afford the payment right now, I would 100% recommend purchasing rather than leasing. You have so many benefits, not just equity, but tax benefits and all these other things that you don't have renting. And you're in a really good spot. If you're looking to purchase this year in particular, you have timing on your side too. So our market always gets a little bit easier for buyers kind of right now through the end of August, Labor Day weekend, because everybody's going back to school. So they're getting their kids ready back to school. They kind of put moving on the back burner for now. And so it's a really good time. Sellers that are having to sell right now are having to negotiate more. You have a little bit of a pickup after Labor Day weekend. It's going to pick up until usually around Halloween, and then it starts to die back down again. By Thanksgiving, it's going to be low. So the lowest demand is typically Thanksgiving through the New Year's Eve. So that's another really great time to purchase if you're a first-time home buyer because you don't have the competition of the buyers. The only caveat to that is you have less inventory to choose from as well because sellers don't typically want to sell during that time. But the ones who are on the market are motivated sellers and you don't have the competition. So if you can find a house you like, that can be some of the best time to actually purchase. I know this is a lot of information. I know it can be overwhelming. And one of the things that you'll hear me say a lot is that real estate is not a one size fits all. Everybody acts like this is the path to purchase real estate. You have to purchase it this way. And if you don't purchase it this way, you can't buy. And that could not be further from the truth. There are so many different ways to buy real estate. And I can help you match like what works for your situation, your finances, your credit score, your timing, and we can create a plan specifically for that. And so I don't want you to get too overwhelmed with all of this. I'm happy to walk with you, one-on-one and kind of go through everything together. I'm going to link in the description my calendar so that you can schedule a one-on-one if you wish. But I will say if you get nothing else from this video, just know that do not be scared from interest rates. It's a great time as a first-time home buyer in the Weatherford, Texas, Parker County area and surrounding areas. So I hope this was helpful, and I will talk to you next week.